Toronto Argonauts head coach Michael Clemens is a master motivator. In the last game, his Argonauts shocked the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, handing the Bombers their first loss, with Clifford Ivory and the Argo defense leading the way. Ivory scored for the fourth time this season, giving Toronto fans something to cheer about. But reality was at hand, the league looking to bail out the financially challenged Argonauts. Calgary head coach Jim Barker's problems are plain to see. Quarterback Marcus Crandall went down with a hamstring injury 1 week ago tonight against Montreal, sending in the untested Kevin Federick. And while he showed flashes, he was overwhelmed at times. Tonight, Pinball Clements and the Toronto Argonauts bounce into McMahon Stadium to meet Jim Barker and the Calgary Stampeders. It's the CFL on CBC. And it is a warm and windy afternoon here in Calgary. The last time these teams met was last November at Skydome in Toronto. Remember, a last-minute Prefontaine field goal gave the Toronto Argonauts a 33-32 win over Calgary, the Argos clinching a playoff position. Tailgate parties are great tradition in this city, and there will be a crowd of over 30,000 for this game today. We come inside McMahon down to the south part of the stadium and our studio for the CFL on CBC. With Sean Millington, Greg Frères, Darren Flutie. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Brian Williams. Welcome to the CFL on CBC. Fellas, a couple of teams that are 2-3. They're better than their records. Now, the panel, the fellas will have a lot to say about this game and also the position the Toronto Argonaut players find themselves in. Once again, the ownership problems of the Toronto Argonauts are front and center. They've been dominating the news. I spoke a short time ago with CFL Commissioner Tom Wright. We'll hear that interview in just a minute. But first, to provide some background, here is the CBC's Simon Dingley.
The Argos being risky, going deep.
It's third and very long financially for the Argonauts. Speculation suggests the franchise may be revoked as early as next week or even folded at season's end. The Boatmen simply aren't on many Torontonians' radar.
When was the last time you were at a Toronto Argonaut game?
Actually, I've never been to one.
Doesn't interest me. Sorry to say, but I'm more of an NFL fan.
That angers Lori Bursey, who's supported the team since her teens.
This is it's a collector's item, I think, with the old logo.
Bursey's the fan club president. She's been to more than 300 games.
I really would love to see more people come to the Skydome and support this team.
When Sherwood Schwartz bought the team, he promised, "I'm going to make Skydome the place to be." But fewer than 15,000 fans on average bother to attend Argo games. Perry Lefko has covered the club for 8 years. He calls the uncertainty a soap opera.
Basically, the owners stopped paying the bills. The leagues had to take over the team, pay the bills. That's taking money away from the other teams. They're crying out now for the franchise to be revoked.
Right now, I'm not thinking in those terms because I'm thinking in terms of making sure that we find the kind of ownership that's necessary to lead and build the team here in Toronto.
In a phone interview from New York, Sherwood Schwartz reiterated that talks are progressing to bring in new Canadian partners. Schwartz says he may have more to say about the Argos situation on Monday. Simon Dingley, CBC Sports, Toronto.
Thank you, Simon. As I mentioned, I spoke earlier with the CFL Commissioner, Tom Wright. Commissioner, this league is coming off a great Grey Cup. It's off to a great start this season. The product on the field has never been better. Yet once again, there's an off-field mess gnawing at the credibility of this league. I mean, this is not a new problem with the Toronto Argonauts. I'm wondering, why was it not dealt with in a strong manner prior to this season? Why has it been allowed to fester and now boil over, whereas it could have been settled prior to the start of the season?
Well, you know, Brian, that's a fair question, and I think we both know how infallible hindsight is, and I guess with the benefit of the rearview mirror, we would have been better off if we had addressed this situation perhaps in January, February, or March. But the simple fact of the matter is that we didn't. We've been addressing this for the last 6-7 weeks, and have been working very hard to solve the situation here in Toronto. And it's one of those things, Brian, that it's not an easy fix. It's not a quick fix. I'm not interested in short-term solutions. I'm interested in long-term viable options, and that's the way we've been approaching it.
You have potential buyers. If I had the money and I was interested in buying the Toronto Argonauts, it seems to me I'd want to drive down the price. I'd want to get the league to a point of desperation where the other 8 teams are saying, hey, we're sick and tired of paying the bills for a team that's got a bigger payroll than we do. How close to that point of desperation is the Canadian Football League?
Well, I don't think we're at that point of desperation, Brian. The Canadian Football League, and you spoke to it at the top of the interview, is in a very, very strong place right now. The television numbers coming out of last year's Grey Cup were outstanding. The work that you have been doing, CBC, with Saturday Night Football, you've seen your numbers and you see how strong they are. Our research has shown how strong the league is across the country. Our fan base is very strong, and our sponsorship levels are high as well. So from a point of view of how the league is doing, we're not in a desperate situation. At the same time, we recognize how important it is. We have a responsibility to all of our member clubs to do what's right, what's responsible, and what's professional at this point in time, and that's really what we're trying to do. You could wait around and to, as you say, to drive the price down, but the point is that we're very bullish on our league, we're very bullish about the Toronto market, and we're very confident that we'll be able to bring an appropriate solution to here in Toronto.
Let's not kid anyone. Things are good with the Canadian Football League, but right now, the good or the credibility is disappearing with this Toronto problem. And what I'm getting at, if you can give me a short answer, is there's got to be a point when the other 8 teams, I've talked to a few teams that say we're sick and tired of paying the bills for the Toronto Argonauts when we see them as lavish, big spenders. I mean, when do you get to that point?
Well, I think you get to that point when we've finished the work that we're doing now. And Brian, we know how important it is that we have some quick decisions being made here, and we're working towards that. But right now, there are options that we're looking at. There are options that we've been evaluating that we're trying very hard to complete. And I'm confident that in the very near future, we will be successful.
The CFL is already paying the bills for the Toronto Argonauts. People ask me, what are you waiting for? I mean, is there a point when you can legally take this team away from Sherwood Schwartz without having to indemnify him? What is the delay?
Well, the delay is, as I said earlier, Brian, we're making sure that we conclude the homework that we've done and make sure that the work that has been worked very hard at for the last 6-7 weeks has a chance to come to fruition, and that's really what we're trying to do. Will there come a point that we have the ability to do the kinds of things you're talking about? Yes, but at the same time, I'm trying to make sure that we conclude the negotiations that are currently underway.
A couple of very quick questions. Is there any
Sure,
any chance in your mind the Toronto Argonauts will not finish the season?
I have been asked this question before, and I'm steadfast in terms of how I answer it, Brian. I'm going to do everything in my power to ensure, as the commissioner, that the Toronto Argonauts not only complete the season, but they complete the 2004 and 2005 season. And that's my responsibility, and that's what I'm going to work towards doing.
Have any players been asked to take salary cuts? We're going to talk about this with the guys in the studio here. They were in Vancouver. Have any players been asked to take salary cuts, or do you see that happening?
Well, you'd have to ask the Toronto Argonauts if that's been done. I certainly, in my role as commissioner, have not done that. You're correct in assuming and stating that it has been done in the past, but you'd have to ask the Argonaut personnel, Brian, on that specifically.
Realistically, I know you can't give us an exact date, but are we going to be talking about this 1 week from now, 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, or is it going to be settled in the near future?
I think your time frame is pretty accurate, Brian, but I'm not going to try to put any artificial timelines on things. But within the time frames that you've spoken is probably when you'll see some definitive action.
CFL Commissioner Tom Wright, thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Have a great day.
And again, that was taped earlier back live in Calgary. In fairness to the commissioner, he only took office last winter. Michael Federick, the owner of the Stampeders, told me here yesterday, you're darn right it shouldn't have gone on this long. It should have been settled earlier. But he said, all of us are to blame. Some reaction from the panel here on the situation in Toronto and the players. Sean Millington, let's begin with you.
Well, I have to say, we experienced this exact same, or actually I experienced this exact same sort of situation in BC in '92 when we had an ownership controversy. And contrary to what players will tell you, they'll get in front of the camera and say the politically correct thing, but this really does affect you. I remember getting my paycheck, taking it straight from the office and going to the bank and cashing it immediately just so that I could be sure that I got paid. You're worrying about your job. The media is putting a lot of emphasis on an issue of this nature, and so you're spending a lot of time thinking about, you know, the externals to the business when you should be thinking about the game and how you're going to play that week.
Well, you know what, it's interesting. He's the ultimate politician right there. You asked him what the timeline was, and that's my point, is that this needs to happen sooner than later. He said, you know, is it going to be 1, 2, 3 weeks, and came back and said, yeah, that's roughly the time frame. Didn't really give us an answer. But here's a situation where these, you know, as you're trying to make this one team, Toronto, viable, are you putting 6, 7 other teams, because they're footing the bill for Toronto right now. You have to understand that. Are you making these other 6, 7 teams now, placing them in a position of jeopardy? And so this needs to happen soon. I know he wants to do it right, and I respect him for that, but at the same time, he needs to do it soon.
Well, my view as a former football player when I was on that team with Sean in 92, the whole Murray Pesem deal, is that I've never been in a situation, say in Edmonton in 1996 and 97, when we were getting 35, 40,000 people at the football games, where ownership came up to me and said, you know what, we're getting more fans than I thought we'd have. You're going to get $20,000 more this year. But when it goes the other way, you're the first one to take the pay cut. So that's kind of a player's point of view.
But I know it upsets all of you with a product on the field so good that this is the story we're dealing with 6 games into the season. It should have been dealt with earlier and settled, right?
Yeah, you know, and it's too bad because it kind of becomes amplified. It's a situation where this is only a 9-team league. This happens for the Ottawa Senators in the NHL. It happens for in the NFL with the Baltimore teams, the LA teams, the Houston teams. You know, they're not void from that, and it's just kind of amplified, and it's too bad because this is some great football this year.
Well, all right, exactly. I mean, we're all very bullish on the CFL, as you know here. And we have a good reason to be. We've got a great product. We're getting great numbers. We shouldn't have to be dealing with this at this point in time.
All right, we'll deal with football from now on. And speaking of dealing with football, the stairs are clear. Chris Walby has the day off, so you're leaving. Good to work with you. Darren will be doing color with Mark Lee in this game. So as you sprint upstairs, let's go out in the field and join Michelle Godbout.
We're here with Damon Allen, the starting quarterback for tonight's game. Damon, let's start off with the problems with the outside the field with the Argonauts. You've seen this before. How does it affect the player?
I don't think it affects our football team, and you know, our head coach has prepared us and understanding and giving us an understanding of the situation. You know, what we have to do today is really just come out here and play the game of football and not worry about the off-field you know, situation. It's important for us to come out here and play as a football team and play very well in all 3 aspects and come out victorious.
Now let's talk about football. You're coming out of a hand injury. How will that affect you tonight going up against a tough Calgary defense?
I don't think it will affect me that much, but who knows? It's a matter of, you know, I feel very comfortable about starting and feeling that I can play the game, and so, you know, that's really is what it's all about, and I have to go out there and execute and help our football team win.
Dave Allen, thanks a lot. Good luck tonight.
You're welcome.
There you go, Damon Allen, and he's all revved up to go tonight. So, Brian, back to you.
He may be revved up, but he says the hand feels fine. Pinball Clemens says the big test will come when he takes his first hit. The panel will break down the game, and we've got football across Canada. Stay with us. It's the CFL on CBC.